All right, we have one of the largest patches to hit us for Warhammer 40k Darktide since the game has come out. I'm going to go through a quick little spark notes of what these patch notes include. You can find a link to them in the description below, so if you want to just watch them on your own, but you kind of want a quick rundown, let me give that to you right now. So, this patch is going to include quite a bit. We're getting a rework to the Armory Exchange, where we can just simply choose an item and it comes out as a gray, and we upgrade it from there into an orange. Also, Sire Melk has been changed so that his contracts work entirely different, with way more Ordo ingots rewarded for doing the individual contracts. They've removed the cap on re-rolling contracts, and they've removed all secondary style of contracts that'll say like, hey, do a secondary objective on X or Y map. Those are all gone, and they've added collect plasteel, collect diamantine, all those fun things. They've also added the blessings, have now been added in for the crafting. Crafting is now completed. It still does have the RNG of a lot of things, so that is there. If you thought it wouldn't be, it is there. If that's a big holdup for you, just wanted to address it. What else was done to this massive patch? A ton of stuff with a lot of individual weapons, mainly working more towards their blessings and balancing them and increasing them. Nothing in this patch got nerfed from a weapon perspective. Even the Antax Mark V, it actually got a little bit of a buff when it comes to its special attack, but everything by and large got a little bit of a buff. Limb Splitter is no longer the terrible blessing that it was before. It's still not amazing, but it's not the complete kneecap that it was before. Limb Splitter kneecap, funny. In addition to all of that, we've gotten a number of combat tweaks, UI tweaks, tons of other things. Emotes were added into the game. Item sorting is added into the game, so a lot of fun little quality of life bumps up there have been added in. War gear sets, yeah, it's the first one I totally forgot to bring up. Armory Exchange, Requisitorium, Omnissiah, blessings, re-blessings. Oh, the mission board. I mean, that, I don't know, my big point with the mission board is great. Awesome that you did a pass on it, but it still kind of sucks, and you added more missions when our player base is so low right now. That's not going to bring players back to the game. Content is going to bring them back to the game. So that's my kind of overall shtick on that. But those are the patch notes in a very quick, very dirty nutshell. There is, that's a terrible sentence. There are a ton of things here when it comes to individual blessing buffings and individual balance passes that I definitely missed. And you can find those patch notes linked in the description below. If that's all you want to know, though, please feel free to go ahead and shut the video down. There is no additional content that was added as far as new maps, new weapons, new classes, new anything. It's just simply the crafting has finally been brought in. So if you were looking for the game that you purchased when the game came out, as far as what its promises were, they are all now landed. we just now need some more fun stuff to go into. But if you are heading out, please don't forget to like, comment, and/or subscribe. And depending upon when you are watching this video, I will be live on Twitch, which you can find linked in the description and pinned comment as well. Twitch.tv/ItalianSpartacus. Go ahead and give me a follow there. I'm trying to make a march towards my Twitch partnership. But for those who want to stick around for the down and dirty on patch 4, let's jump in here to the blessings of the Omnissiah for Warhammer 40k Darktide. And there is a lot. There is a ton to get into. So let's just jump right into it. So we get war gear sets being added in. We have up to 5 sets we can kind of customize and choose with different icons, which is lovely. I went through and highlighted almost all this, and then it, for some reason, decided to just remove my highlighting. So we'll probably be doing a little bit on the fly. I apologize. It's not my usual kind of streamlined patch notes process. Armory Exchange. So now we're going to be able to just pull melee and ranged weapons from the Armory Exchange and then just upgrade them to orange, because they'll be coming out at gray, right, at profane level. Keep in mind that the typical style of Armory Exchange is still there. So if you want to get any of the tier 1 or 2 blessings from the Armory Exchange and then rip them off to add onto weapons, you are definitely still able to do that. From there too, we have now preview cosmetics and weapon skins. You can choose to preview these items on your current character or a holographic mannequin, which is really, really nice. I do love that. Sire Melk's Requisitorium, quite a little bit here. So what they've done is lower the required targets to complete contracts while also increasing the amount of Ordo ingots. And it is a substantial decrease in increase. So we'll take a look at that breakdown a little bit. The side mission tasks for both Scripture and Grimoires have been collapsed into the same task, which will progress as you collect. Do love that. Removed contracts that required playing specific side objectives on specific missions, which is good because I never, ever used them. The cap that was in place on the amount of times you can reroll a given task has been removed, so love to see that as well. Which kind of just makes me wonder, like, why don't you just choose them? Like, just let me choose the contracts I want. But I guess whatever. So the new contracts that are available are Collect Diamantine and Plasteel, as well as Scriptures or Grimoires. Now, it's nice that it's Collect Scriptures or Grimoires for 8 or 16. 25 used to be our cap, is now 16. But if you do the top end of any one of these contracts now, it is a bomb of ingots. Ingots, however you want to pronounce it. I played Ultima Online growing up and thought it was ingots. So that's what I've stuck with for my whole entire life. But 350 Diamantine gives you 700 ingots, as it were. As this kind of progresses down, here's some the big highlights here are on monstrosities and killing things with melee or ranged, because it's just so automatic, right? Yeah, so is completing missions 100%, right? You complete 12 missions, you get 590, but you get 530 for doing any of the completion of killing things with ranged or melee at the top level. I mean, that's pretty juicy. Even monstrosities is 7 for 700. I mean, that's a really nice return rate right there. So be on the lookout for these on your contract board. This is all currently active. So if you have not updated, please do update, or else you cannot jump into the game. Also, we have the Shrine of the Omnissiah. The cost of Shrine actions will now adjust based on the rating of the item being modified. I thought that was always the case. So nice to see that, I guess. Consecrating at the Shrine has had cost adjustments, where Diamantine is no longer required to upgrade to Anointed blue rarity level, which is going to be nice since we're pulling out grays. Grays need to go from gray to green, green to blue. That's only going to cost Plasteel. And now the Plasteel drops in missions is significantly increased as well. So it's a very nice little bump there. Why did I put this in purple? Maybe I did the wrong thing. I guess my shtick on this was like my shtick is something that's not the term. My gripe with it is still, I guess, like the perk situation becomes an issue where you're just kind of re-rolling to get it for free. So just let me choose from a list and let me pay an upfront cost. Like, I think that's kind of the better call when it comes to perks. I'm fine with blessings being the way that they are as an interim crafting holdover until this gets, I mean, we know this is probably going to get reworked, right? Well, what's it called? Vermintide 2 went through so many different crafting iterations. This is not the end all be all of crafting. Like, this shall be revisited once more. I'm sure of it, right? But I just think that right now, when it comes to the perks, just let us pay a flat amount, Diamantine and Plasteel, based on the item rating, and let me get a perk. Let me just choose it. I think it's probably the easiest way to do things, because I'm basically doing that for blessings. I'm earning the blessings by extracting them. I mean, I don't want to extract a perk. That'd be like pulling my teeth out. But if I can pretty much choose the blessing by earning it, by somehow getting it and then extracting it, then let me just choose my perk. Moving on from there. Oh yeah, here's the rebless screen. As you can see, rebless your weapon, replacing an existing blessing with one from your collection. The original blessing is lost. Once a blessing has been replaced, other blessings on the same item cannot be modified. So it's locking it into place. Keep in mind too that this is per weapon type. So a Surge Staff can only go to other, actually, you know what? I don't know about staves, but I know for combat axes, for example, pulling a weapon off of a combat axe will only go onto another combat axe. You can't say pull brutal momentum off of a tack axe and put it on a combat axe. It does not work that way. Mission board, and we'll be going into this when we start streaming, like right after I finish making this video. I'm going to just basically dive in. I have not played any of it. I'm just going through the notes right now. So if you've played through and you're like, hey, actually it works like this, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. I'm totally fine with that. Mission board, again, they have increased from 12 to 16. The balance of difficulty maps and condition side missions have also been adjusted to account for the increase of availability. Again, this doesn't really do much because the player base is so low right now, unfortunately, because people are waiting for more content. Hopefully the crafting will bring a lot of people back, and this 12 to 16 bump will be a significant help for them. But overall, timers for regular missions on the mission board have been decreased to a max of 15 missions, or 15 minutes. So a nice quality of life bump for the mission board. I think we all, by and large, now wanted to see the standard way of doing missions like we did in Darktide. I'm sorry, in Vermintide. But still, it is nice to see that we are getting some sort of love for the mission board. Also, doing things like grimoires, scripts, ventilation purge, all those things give you additional bonuses now to both dockets and experience on different individualized levels. So these modifiers or doing these side missions will significantly increase your docket amount and your experience depending upon what you are doing, with low resistance giving you no change. So I'm going to have to look at this in the actual game. So I would assume that if I did high resistance and let's just say scriptures, I'm going to do a total of 65% increase to dockets and 80% increase to experience because I'm doing a mission modifier and a side mission. So I do wonder too if that's how that works. Like, does it add the two percentages together and then increase it, or does it do something else? I don't know, but that's there. So the availability of crafting materials though has been increased. Now it's increased proportionately, I guess it could be. I don't really know what I'm trying to say, but either way, Plasteel on Heresy and Damnation has got a very significant increase over the previous two difficulties, with Heresy up to 140 increase and Damnation, look at that. Look at that. That's almost a full 400 increase right there. In fact, it's over a full 400 increase. 410 would be 4,000. I'm not a smart man. So 410 Plasteel increase for Damnation. For Diamantine, the biggest winner here is Malice with a 30-point increase. Pretty much everything else got like 10, 15, or 5, depending on what it was. Damnation, you only got 5. Uprising got 10, 15 there. So you can see how that works out. And this is the new mission board. Again, it's the same thing, but just more little blips on there. The Emperor's Gift will now be rewarded upon every successful mission completion, which is a lovely treat bonus. Higher difficulty will increase the chance of rarity, and conditions will also affect the chance of increasing the rarity of the items being gifted. So doing the highest difficulty missions with conditions is going to greatly increase the chance of increased rarity, which is lovely. Item generation here. Oh, here it is. I knew I put something in red about this. So item consecrated, upgraded in rarity in the Shrine of Omnissiah now have more favorable chances of unlocking higher tier perks and blessings. So great to see that, but I still want to see just the ability to just snag a perk, you know. But it does tell you that Army Exchange will have tiers 1 and 2, Melk will have 3 and 4, and then Blessings for characters level 30. So you can see how that kind of plays itself out. Character Creations had a little bit of a change to its UI, making it a little bit nicer, a little bit smoother. Social menu has been changed a little bit. Emotes are now added into the game, as you can see, a very meager thumbs up. But veterans will have access to, Veteran, Psyker, and Zealot will have access to Wave, Thumbs Up, No, Squat, and Kneel. Oh, love Squat, Breton. Ogren will have access to Wave, Thumbs Up, Nah, Safety First, and Kneel. Quality of Life added the ability to sort items lists in stores and in your inventory by the item type and item rating. Thank God. I hated that part. All weapon HUDs now have, all weapon marks now have a unique HUD icon and will no longer share one icon for the entire weapon pattern. So nice to see that. Commodore Vestments just had some UI bonuses there, changes there. The Hunting Grounds modifier has been changed a little bit, and they're trying to basically work on the pacing. This whole blob of text is basically saying like, hey, bear with us while we work with this. Poxhounds themselves have gotten some attention with the focus on fixing issues with their movement, smoothing out ragdoll transitions, and sternly telling them to not spontaneously try space travel. It's a work in progress. So they're looking for feedback on this. If you play Hunting Grounds and you don't like it, and it's maybe too frequent, not frequent enough, or it's just too annoying, let them know, because they're trying to kind of tweak this to make it work itself out. For weapon balance, there's quite a bit here that's changed. I highlighted this, but it didn't stick in, so we'll do it again. Most changes include buffs to blessings, as they were in general modest or sometimes downright pointless in their old format. There are a lot of combinations to test and tune, so please keep the feedback coming, and we'll keep the full blessing configuration of each weapon as part of our patch rotation in the future. They did say something about the fact that they only want to we want to approach weapon balancing on a per package rotation, focusing on one weapon pattern at a time. Like, they don't want to just do a bunch of sweeping changes and then have those sweeping changes really not make any sense because you can't really test them all at the same time, and you've just moved too many sliders and now nothing makes sense. So it looks like they're just going to basically kind of break this down on a per weapon basis. I had to move my dog's chew toy because he was going to town on it. A final note on the damage interactions in the game that we want to clarify, specifically in relation to our blessings. We treat damage as a sum of multiple buckets, where base damage is calculated on its own weak spot damage and calculated separately. This allows us to create some definition between different weapon types, where those low base damage but high weak spot damage, such as the Akatran Mark MG Mark II heavy pistol have a clear identity compared to the high base damage and low weak spot weapon damage. Good Lord. It's just saying they're trying to create a little bit of variance between these two different types of weapons. So these two buckets are then modified on their own with any buffs before being added together for the total damage. So when a modifier says increased weak spot damage, it is referring only to increasing that bucket of damage, not the sum total. This gives a degree of interaction between weapon types, their bonus stat rolls, and types of buffs available through feats or blessings to consider. So it's basically kind of giving us a breakdown of how weapon damage works, and that you don't really see weak spot damage increase as a overall total sum increase, even though it is a little bit of one. It's saying that weak spot bucket damage gets a substantial increase versus the base damage that does not. I know that sounds super convoluted and confusing, and it is, but it's just to say that if you've got a gun that does a high base, a low weak spot, you can increase that high weak spot damage, that low base damage, according to whatever blessing you put onto it. Good Lord. So Ogryn cleavers here, a lot of these things got a buff to, if it's in this kind of box, it's a blessing that got a buff. If it's out of the box, it's a flat buff to the weapon. So Bash got an increase to its crit chance bonuses in all tiers. The Devil Claw Sword had a Vicious Slice and Rampage damage increase on all of its tiers. A very nice one here, especially for Rampage, going up a nice total of 20% up for tier 4, which is really, really nice. Like to see that guy doing some better damage. The Macabian Dueling Sword got a bonus here for Riposte, lowered activation duration, and increased crit chance bonuses on all tiers. Riposte is the one that allows you to increase crit chance whenever you dodge. Precognition, increased weak spot damage and crit damage on all tiers here. Again, doubling at tier 5. Pretty much all of it's doubled. 2 to 4, 3 to 6, 4 to 8, 5 to 10. And when I say pretty much all of it's doubled, I mean all of it has doubled. Rampage, increased damage bonus received again. Same blessing here. It's getting its bonus. Now, for the heavy sword, it has had quite a bit of buff. The special attack on all heavy swords gets increased damage against tougher targets. We want to make it a can opener. So, Flak has gone from 75 to 125. Carapace from 25 to 65. Unyielding from 100 to 110. Change stagger category to fix some issues with unwanted hit interaction. So when you're using your heavy sword, that special action should be used as a way to kind of boot up your combos. You use a special attack, then start swinging into it. For the Mark 7 and the Mark 9, push follow-up stab attacks get a bump on armor pen as well. A pretty significant one for flak armor. Carapace as well, going up only by a meager 5% and unyielding by 10% baseline. Rampage getting its same buff here. For the Combat Blade, Riposte and Precognition got their buffs as well. So if you saw it in a previous weapon, getting that individual blessing buff like Limb Splitter, it's going to apply to every single weapon that gets Limb Splitter. It's not that weapon's version of the blessing, it's the blessing overall. Standard issue Munitorum Sapper Shovel. Light attacks increase finesse multiplier. Applies to any combination of weak spot critical damage as a percentage of base damage. Range from 40 to 80% to now 40 to 130%, so a much higher top end. Weapon special attack Stab increases finesse multiplier as well here. And fix an issue where the thrust blessing on Sapper Shovel was not giving max power bonus. So that has been fixed. Combat axes, again, there's, like I said, for those that were worrying about an anti-axe nerf, that has not happened. So the special action stab increased finesse multiplier range from 40 to 80 to 40 to 150%. Limb Splitter is no longer the death sentence on your anti-axe. Tack axe, same thing. All of the chain weapons got an increase to Bloodletter because Bloodletter's increased number of stacks applied per special attack has gone up from 2 to 8 and 4 to 10 on its tiers 1 and 2. The Purgation Flamer now gets bonuses from the new Blaze Away, which increases power bonus from 2 to 10%, stacking 5 times to a maximum power of 50%. And then we're going to go through how that works in a bit. Riposte and Precognition on the Force Sword. Blazing Spirit on the Force Staff increased number of stacks applied per crit from 1 to 3. Same thing here when all the other staves. The Grenadier Gauntlet has increased the impact of weapon special attack to be the same as a regular grenade hit, which is very juicy. Glory Hunter has given you way more toughness now. Blaze Away and reassuringly accurate. Increased amount of toughness replenished on all tiers by quite a bit, from 10% to 30% now at its top end. The infantry gun, the Columnus one, has an increase in mag size and reserve, moving from range 25 to 45 times 8 magazines to 30 to 50 times 9 magazines. So an extra mag in the reserve plus 5 more in the mag itself on the bottom and the top end. Increase power by 10% from 350 to 385 to across the board. Across the board affects attack, impact, and cleave. Change keywords to description from rapid fire and precise to torn and high capacity, because I know that was keeping me up at night. Lucius Hellbore lasguns have had their increased cleave, increased mag size, moving the range from 50 to 100 to now 60 to 120, scaling reserve accordingly. And improved armor versus flak for both the Mark II and the Mark III, with the Mark II getting a bonus towards carapace by an additional 10%. This is really, really good. I think Mark I is the Hellbore las that everyone likes the most. I don't really know. I do not like the Hellbore las personally, but you guys can let me know which one it is the primo one. Flechette and Full Bore have both gotten increases in the amount of number of stacks applied and increased power bonus, which is lovely, but I still think Full Bore is very not good. The Heavy Las pistol has had a ton of reworks. It's still my least favorite gun in the goddamn game, but it's reworked aiming movement animations to fix misalignments, because that was the biggest thing. I felt like it had just a really terrible hit detection. This basically means that the whole aim experience has way less swaying while running around on top of actually shooting straight. Increased base damage, moving from 62 to 87 to now 78 to 109. So its bottom end is like the midpoint of its previous damage value. So very, very nice. 15% damage addition to Maniac. Bumped the power of the weapon's special attack. Push now uses the same push strength as normal push attacks, which is okay. Bumped up magazine size from 30 to 60 to now 40 to 80. A nice increase there. And reduced spread on hip fire. Dum Dum rounds have gotten their close range damage bonus increased. The auto pistol has gotten a lot of love here. Shortened range from 15 to 35 to now 10 to 25. And that means beyond 25, you'll be doing less damage, but from 10 to 25, you do less damage. It's really weird. Near is considered 0 to 10, and you do 1 point of damage less for every meter up to 25, where that's your top end. You don't lose any more damage after that point. It's super confusing, but I promise it's pertinent. Improved armor mod versus Maniac by 50%, increased impact of hipfire shots moving from range from 1 to 4 to now 2 to 4, increased impact braced from 1 to 4 to 4 to 8, and brace buildup impact from 0.5 to 2 to now 2 to 4. So very significant. Basically easier to stagger enemies if you keep shooting them. Increased mag size is just massive from 30 to 50 to now 40 to 60. So a nice increase of 10 on both. And 10 doesn't seem like a lot, but it is just enough, because the magazine itself, if you're using a Zealot, can actually kill a Crusher if you get a max ammo roll. One whole mag a mag dump will kill it, which is nice. So it's nice that's got a bonus there. Also, Blaze Away, the new Blaze Away is going to get a benefit here. The Stub Revolver got a point blank blessing kind of rework so that it actually works with point blank, and Glory Hunter now applies to it better. The Ripper Gun, bumped up Ripper Gun ammo reserve with 2 extra mags, moving the range from 4 to 6 to 6 to 8. Ton of bonuses there on these blessings. I'm going to just kind of skip through a lot of this here, because it's just saying that anything they've mentioned, if the gun has that blessing, it's just, hey, it's going to get it. The Power Sword will now only get 2 activations unless you've got Power Cycler, so it should only activate it as it needs to. The Skullbreaker here got some love. So for all shooter and stalker shots that hit now have shorter stun times and less pushback, which is massive. The Ogryn actually is the only class that got buffs. No one else really got anything for the most part. But these two are pretty massive here. For Ogryns, having toughness broken or getting hit in melee while sprinting now have shorter stun times. Replace the feat Knife Through Butter, which is the fully charged one. That is no longer gone. Or that is no longer there. This is what it is now. It's now called Knock 'em Down, Beat 'em Up. Staggering enemies adds a number of attacks relative to the size of the enemy, ranges from 1 to 10, of 2% damage bonus to the next heavy attacks. Max number of stacks is 25, so keep pushing for a 50% heavy damage bonus. I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely way more applicable than Knife Through Butter. So I'm really curious to see how that one actually plays itself out. Fix an issue with Bulgor feat where not all enemies with Bull Rush would get the bleed stack, and increase the stacks from Bulgor from 2 to 4. And fix the issue with Blood and Thunder feats where bleed would be applied on non-damaging attacks, for example, attacks on a Bulwark shield. Just like every other thing has had that fixed, now they have it fixed. Also, they've increased the range at which Ogryns can pick up items, given how much further away from the ground he was. It was sometimes proved difficult for our Ogryn friends to pick up things. The Psyker's Perils Quelling normalized passive event times from non-warp weapons. They defaulted to max speed previously. Enabled passive quell time modifiers part of the quell speed bonus stat. Oh, interesting. Slightly buffed passive quell times for staves across the board. So that means non-warp weapons won't quell as fast. It's now linked more to the quell speed, I suppose. Veteran Sharpshooter had Fragstorm feat. A remark with Fragstorm feat is now where the player did not get the reported the kill feed. Kill if the bleed stack killed and leave. Okay, whatever. The Poxburster changed, so Poxburster explosion damage enemies at close range and stagger them at far range, which is very nice. So, let's go into these blessings. How, huh? Precognition and Riposte blessing. We've updated the functionality for these dodge-based blessings while fixing a bug with the trigger. We now allow retriggering them while already active and paired with duration of 2 seconds. The main idea here is to allow you to keep dodging to maintain the bonus rather than dodge once and gain a singular bonus for a longer time. I do like that quite a bit. Blaze Away, which is very nice. We have gotten reports from players regarding how the blessing Blaze Away and other blessings based on continuous fire function for single-shot weapons such as the kickback or the plasma gun. As long as the player keeps firing as soon as the weapon is ready, the buff will not be lost. Each weapon also scales differently to accommodate for the buff where, for example, a slower rate of fire or smaller clip size equals a faster climb and power bonus. Unstable Power Blessing, going to space the wrong value in the UI. Should be 5% per peril threshold with a max of 4 times 5x. What? 4 times 5%? I'm just not a smart man. Rack and Ruin Psychonetic feat. This feat now applies on hit instead of kill, wherever the tooltip will be out of date until a further patch. Okay. Players Incapacitated UI has now been changed because you now get this little ditty right there. This includes adding some time remaining info into the icons, fixing so all incapacitating enemies actually have icons of a suitable color depending on severity. Hopefully this will improve your team's awareness and improve the chances of friends helping each other out, which is very, very lovely. So some combat fixes. I'm not going to go through every single one of these because some of them are just kind of like, okay, fix an issue where speed reload blessings could not reactivate when active. Speed reload seems to be the biggest problem. There's like 4 references to this. Fix a bug where the description of the speed reload blessing is the incorrect numbers. Last patch, we had a bunch of speed reload stuff. So if you're dealing with specific bug or specific bugs for specific blessings, go ahead and look for them here. Stuff like this, fix the issue where the Honor of the Martyr feat displayed 8 max stacks instead of 6. It just says displayed. It doesn't say that it actually changed it. So there's no actual effect on your gameplay there. Maybe mentally for you because you thought maybe you had 8 stacks, but that is no longer a thing. This is pretty substantial though. Fix an issue where Flechette blessings on the combat shotgun and the Ripper gun could proc on individual pellets per body parts. Should now proc once for each enemy hit regardless of number of body parts hit. I never even bothered because the whole, it seemed really like not great to begin with. So I'm glad that that's fixed. The Devil's Claw sword here has last light attack wasn't using all modifiers properly. That has been fixed. The Psyker would explode if at 100% peril and using Brain Burst, but switch before the weapon damage was dealt. That's been fixed. The player would go inside of geometry outside game space after leaving Mutant Beast of Nurgle grabbed states. That's been fixed. Fixed a bug. No. Timing of effect of warn players, captains. I had all these highlighted. I apologize, guys. The case of Poxhound soaring towards the sky has been fixed. Reworked the dot stacks interfacing, allowing scaling of burning visual effects relative to the amount of actual stacks on each enemy. I think that's really cool. I'm really excited to see how that works itself out. Autoguns added equip variations and reworked original equip to make the animations less repetitive and frustrating. There's a good one here. tuned Poxwalker stagger animations for beauty. The Flamer fixed issue where the hip fire shoot animation would play instead of brace shoot animation when shooting after pushing. Optimized smart targeting system and made improvements on our visibility algorithm, which should make it easier to find targets behind covers with transparency. For example, railings. Thank God! The hardest enemy in the game. Broken sway animations for all these things, for all these weapons, pretty much all the axes and swords. There's one for shooting through the ground. Sped up the perils overcharge, change effect. Akatran last gun didn't play any discharge. Deactivating weapon special attacks on Acadia. Be slightly shorter than activating them. On average, it should now be 0.15 seconds faster to turn them off than turning them on. That's lovely to see. Well, there's one where people would shoot through the ground. That's been fixed. So if you'd be shot by gunners or by snipers, that's been fixed. A lot of changes to individual maps. I couldn't tell you about a lot of the issues off the top of my head, but stuff like performance tweaks are in here. Increase the layout to increase the performance. Stuff like that is in all of these maps if they had big issues. And Heb Draco was one of the most notorious performance maps with performance problems. So that's all been kind of tweaked out here. I don't see a lot of performance increasing in this patch. And I don't know if that was maybe not the focus or whatever it is, but a lot of them populated the following maps with more pickup locations. So all of them now have way more pickup locations, which is lovely to see. Fixed issue with some of the pickup chests and not functioning properly on the following maps, which is also really great to see. Updated the banners around the bridge, removed the unneeded assets, reduced unit count to increase performance on comms complex and enclave brosis. Added more rain effects to missions taking place in the torrent, which is lovely. This is really cool. Players now spawn by the Psychanium exiting a training mission, so you don't have to go run around all over the place. Fix an instance where players who join a match would progress spawn into level. We're picking up scriptures. Grimoire simultaneously could cause side missions, cause the UI to not show interaction progression. Yes, this was a pretty nice one. So if you try to get someone up, this would sometimes not display. That's been fixed. Here it is. Fix an issue that allowed enemies to fire through the floor. That would be a combat tweak in my opinion, but you know what? Hey, who the fuck am I? Where enemies could sometimes run through cover walls, would get stuck, number of destruction units. So result of crash that would occur either at the beginning of a mission or where you were changing the appearance of a weapon. So a lot of those changes have been fixed. A lot of clipping and cosmetics has been fixed. Cinematics and narrative have been changed with a lot of vocal lines changed or made better or removed or added, whatever it is. And for the engine, ray tracing is now available for players using Intel Arc GPUs, and fixed an issue where some players could not enable DLSS when eligible to use in the feature. So that is all the patch notes. This is a 30-minute video, bros. This was a massive amount, and I tried to like skirt through so much of it. So I apologize if I lost you. I apologize if it got confusing. We're going to go ahead and stream this and show off patch 4. So if you want, just head on over to my twitch.tv/ItalianSpartacus and jump in on the what's it called? The stream. Have fun with everyone. We'll be probably playing for the next 3-4 hours. Usually play from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I'll be doing the same thing tomorrow. So depending upon when you see this, Wednesday is when I'm going to be putting it up. Thursday is when I'll be streaming on. I'll be streaming on both days, is what I'm saying. But a lot of great stuff in this patch. Again, this is, I think, the patch that we wanted at the end of December. So it's great to see it. I'm glad it's here. Let's get going on to the bigger and better content in the future for Darktide. I think that this is a really cool staging point. It kind of sucks that it's coming to us at the end of February, starting at the beginning of March, not too long from now. But I hope that this is kind of that portion of the year, right? Like I think a lot of people kind of look at Fat Shark and go, well, why the hell isn't this done in January? And I even said those things. I'm not saying I'm devoid of responsibility of saying those things. It's like when you come out of like you work in the corporate world, right? And you come out of winter break, and this is not an excuse. I'm just saying everyone I think that works in the corporate world realizes that whole like first portion of January feels so lost. Like everyone's kind of coming back. Everyone's kind of like breaking out of the haze of the holidays and like the fugue of it all. So hopefully that is a very long-term near 3 months fugue that we're going through. And we're going to hit a ramp of content, hopefully with Darktide, and we start to get subclasses that we were promised, more maps, more modifiers. I have a lot of hope for the future of the game, and I'm really excited for it. I'm upset that it took so long to get to this point, but I'm glad we're finally here. So let's look to a bright new future for Warhammer 40k Darktide, hopefully around the corner, and a huge increase to the player base. But thank you guys so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.